It is 5:30 on the East Coast. It is 2:30 on the West Coast. It is the 10th of September in the year of our Lord 2023. Season 5, Episode 11, 176 times you have been welcome to the Cheap Pop. That's straight. You have been welcome to the Cheap Popcast, your one-stop shop for all things professional wrestling. Welcome to the show. We probably should have done it this way, and then we bring everybody else in. We're going to figure this out. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Cheap Popcast, and as much as I love professional wrestling, I think we all know what today is. Let's bring in my co-hosts. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. Let's do that. There we go.
Much better.
That way. Ooh, I got it right. He is my co-host and a man who understands my exhaustion this weekend. He is Alex.
Oh yeah, it is. This is the wrestling show, but there's so much we have to cover for both shows.
Congratulations on a successful selling of your yard this weekend.
We still have drilling rights.
Sell their yards, but whatever. At the bottom of your screen, he is the official fact checker of Sooner or Gator Productions, and a man who, if you notice, Alex, is not wearing earbuds, which means he's learning a little bit about tech. You may know him as Zig Bunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
What do you mean by selling of the yard?
A yard sale?
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he's giving mineral rights to a gas company or something.
No.
We always call them in Montana. We call them garage sales or garbage sales. We never call them yard sales.
Well, first of all, you would never want to call it a garbage sale because then you're telling people that you're selling them garbage. Second of all, both are acceptable because it depends on where the sale is, because it's really not even in your garage if it's a garage sale, because it's in your driveway, which is adjacent to your yard and to your garage. Therefore, either is acceptable.
Well, actually,
And
we had it in the garage and in the driveway, half and half. And number two, if it's yours, it's a garage sale. If you're going to someone else's, it's a garbage sale in Montana.
No.
So
let's dive right in. I know we've been off for 2 weeks, and then we're going to be off next week. And if you want to know why, you're going to watch the other show, because we have a major announcement coming up on the next show.
Yeah, but ours is a legit major announcement, not a Tony Khan major announcement.
That is true. Last Sunday, All Out was a thing. I want to send a shout out to the Galaxy Landscape Theaters right here in the Colony, who had me out there hanging out with Ricardo. Absolutely phenomenal presentation. Great facility if you're up this way. Really, really had a blast. I will not be present for Wrestle Dream because we will be off that week, as I will be on my way home from Giganticon. But if you're up this way, I highly recommend. They've got great food at the concessions. They actually have 2 Dolby Atmos theaters up there.
Oh, really?
One. The only difference is the projection system. One of them, the Sony, does 3D. The other one doesn't.
So you said Galaxy in Garland?
In Grandscape.
Grandscape. Okay, Galaxy and Grandscape. Okay.
In the Colony.
Okay, Colony. Okay.
Up on this end of town.
Okay. I just misheard you. I'm sorry.
Okay. I got to give you grief sometimes, Don.
Okay, but so are they going to be showing the AEW pay-per-views on a regular basis up there?
Apparently they have for a while, and I didn't know.
Okay.
Do they have a good crowd? So far they have 100% of when we've looked.
Yes.
Do they have a good crowd though when they?
There's been twice now that Alex and I have. It's some combination of Alex and I have attended these. It's not a lot, but for me, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that was a bigger screen than the one Alex and I watched at a different facility. It looked great. They never brought the lights down either, which I think kind of benefited it because it was more conducive to people interacting with each other, especially given the length that AEW tends to put on their pay-per-views.
Plus the 3 best things: food delivery, and food delivery.
Well, that the other facility did. This one does not.
Yeah.
But the concession stand was just right
outside.
outside.
I was saying for the other ones as well.
Yeah.
I was just wondering on the crowd size, because if there's like, let's say 10, 20, 30 people, it's still kind of fun because it's kind of like it's
I
like
agree
having
100%.
yeah, and the
I
crowd
agree
gets into it, good play, there's a good move or there's a big turn or something, the whole crowd, that's why I like kind of going to the theaters and doing something like that.
You get the
first
community.
two, and the first 2 rows of the auditorium were couches, but you had to buy 2 tickets.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
they're good sized couches that have the little desk thing, the little countertops on them and stuff. I really enjoyed my time here. Shout out to Ricardo and everybody over there at Grandscape Galaxy Theaters. I was thoroughly impressed with the presentation overall, especially over there where it's always crazy all the time.
And how far away is that from like the Nebraska and Shields roughly?
It's right next to it.
Oh, next. Okay.
It's literally right in between. Like, it's Nebraska, movie theater, Shields.
Okay. All right. So, got an idea. All right. Thank you.
Where that will also soon be housing the miniature golf course designed by Tiger Woods. They have broken ground on that. Sorry, I got like a hair hanging off my microphone here from one of the cats. It's freaking me out. It's driving me crazy because I see it out of my peripheral. There we go. I didn't think it was a bad show, but it also wasn't a great show. We had the arrival of Mrs. Miro, who still has yet to have a name. We're not sure what's going on there. We'll talk a little bit more about her later. Kind of interested to see where that's going. I would say overall, and Don, you guys went to a place on your side of town, correct?
Yeah. Arlington. AMC.
C+ overall? Would you disagree with that?
Yeah, C+, B- on the show. Was there a big, shocking turn or anything, surprise? Not really, but still, it was some good. There was some good wrestling matches on that.
I feel like I'm picking up Don's slack with my cup.
Okay, the Boosies.
Easy.
Okay, that's not what some people
never, ever say that on air again, please.
Like I said, wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
it was, and I was glad I got to hang out with some friends and watch it in the theater. We're still trying to get some stuff worked out on that front. OVW's Netflix docuseries is called Wrestlers. That drops on Wednesday. So keep your eye out.
I had serious questions when I heard the name of that one based on Vice having the Wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, an article is all you need to change.
Dustin.
What network is that again?
On the Netflix.
Netflix. Okay. So this week. Okay.
Yep. On Wednesday. Dustin Rhodes has said the Rhodes Wrestling Association is coming soon. He has posted pictures of the belts. They look great. What he's hoping to do is monthly shows in the Austin area. So not
and I'd be curious to see if he would be allowed to call them super indies or, bigger shows working with reality, since they're technically not owned by anyone other than Booker, but there's that crossover. I'd be curious to see if they could do that.
Yeah. I think if I were a betting man, I wouldn't, just because as of late, because now that I have YouTube TV, I can watch Reality of Wrestling, which, by the way, showed the same exact episode they showed last week for some reason. There's a lot of NXT talent that is making appearances on Reality of Wrestling. So there might be some kind of a side hustle there that we're not aware of.
And there are a lot of great indie promotions throughout Texas, so it's not something they would necessarily need if they wanted to expand the talent roster. The only thing I will say is Barrett Brown for champion in Rhodes Wrestling. That's what I want.
I'm here for it. In news that I actually got to break to Alex last week and much enjoyed his reaction. Don, do you remember back in April?
Yeah.
There was a company called Girder Music.
Something like that.
Who released Macho Man's hip hop album.
Oh, yeah. I remember you bringing that up. Yeah.
They have now announced a limited run of 300 apiece. There are 2 different versions of the vinyl that they're releasing, 300 apiece.
Okay.
One of them has what's called a Japanese obi strip, and what that means is if you've ever seen an album from Japan, like let's just say a Queensryche album that was released in Japan, and there's that white stripe on the side with all the Japanese writing, that's called an obi strip.
Okay.
So they're doing 300 of those, and they're doing 300 picture discs, which are vinyl records that actually have a picture inside the vinyl instead of just like a label.
Yeah, I have a couple picture discs too that are kind of rare. So
Well,
those are kind of cool. You don't want to play them; they'll play, but you don't want to play them because they'll kind of, they're not the best quality of sound on a record player, and plus you kind of might ruin the thing itself. So,
let me
but
see.
I still like picture discs.
I might have a picture of this for you guys to look at here.
Okay.
Hold on a second, because we have a visual medium.
I'm actually working on it.
I've got a picture of the picture disc right now coming up. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll through this. Let me share my screen. It's taking its time here. Let's do this. All right, here we go. Here we go, gentlemen. What do you think of that?
That's cool. I like that. That's cool.
And you can also get it on CD if you like, for some reason, Ride the Lightning's there. There's the other side of it.
Oh, wow.
So, Don, would you say that you dig it? And there's the version with the Japanese obi strip that's got kind of a mix.
Actually, if you don't mind, I can throw that one up there.
Oh, I gotta stop sharing. Hold on. So those are 300 of those each will be available if you want to pick one up. And $40 isn't bad for vinyl. So at least that
picture disc.
So coming right up, there's your obi strip.
Yeah, that looks good.
Or what they're advertising as the obi strip with the black and white vinyl
and generic belt.
And generic belt.
Would that make it the obi strap? Thank you very much.
You're trying hard and it's not working.
No, Don, I don't have to try to be this good.
Coming from Don, that's really saying something.
Crown Jewel, strongly rumored to be November the 4th this year, which would be 2 weeks before Survivor Series, which is about right for the company when they normally do that show. Speaking of things of that nature, this past, when was it? It was Friday was Superstar Spectacle in India, correct? It was Friday morning our time.
There was a little bit of crossover. I believe it was Thursday for us.
And then they talked about it on SmackDown. Becky Lynch could not go due to what she is calling a tiny tear in her passport. So that happened. It looked like it was a fun show.
And it was Qatar Air that was the one that made that call that wouldn't let her on the plane?
She did not. I saw the tweet. She did not say specifically in the tweet. So.
Oh, I think she originally did and then edited it.
Okay, fair enough. Want to send our best to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who had emergency surgery, but he is doing better and is on the mend. His wife put out a statement time is a construct for me for about the last 20 hours. So it's sometime in that time. So
I want to go back, if I can, real fast on the Becky thing. You're saying that there was like some kind of small tear on the passport and they didn't accept it or
that's what she said in a tweet.
Wow. I mean, I know they're that picky on it or that kind of thing. Who knows? Okay.
They can kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Man. You know?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Especially with it, if it was Qatar Airways, and I am remembering that correctly, that is a very high-end airline that takes every precaution for reasons. In fact, I want to say...
Don.
All right, what's up?
This next story's for you.
Is it?
Let me find the right one here for you.
Is it about Juan Chena?
It is not.
Okay.
Ooh, let's just start there. Let me share my screen once again.
Damien Sandow?
No.
Okay.
It is not about Damien Sandow.
Okay.
But I appreciate your moxie.
Oh!
Don, what do you think about these new WWE NFL Championship belts? Let's take a look at this fine-looking one right here. They're all basically the same. I haven't seen like what the inside looks like. So fairly generic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It won't let me zoom in on that.
Kind of like the El Generico.
No, do not disparage El Generico. But they
No,
got the
he helps far more Ninos than these do.
right.
Okay.
You've got the conference over here. I guess you put your own thing here, and then it's got the little deal here.
Yeah.
You can have them for every NFL team. Don't step forward, Jacksonville fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know, the Jacksonville Jaguars are owned by a family that owns another company and has said, yeah, we didn't sign off on that.
Oh, shoot. I wanted to stop you real quick, and I wanted to do the mini trivia question and ask Don if he thought that it was a WWE decision or a Jacksonville Jaguars decision, but we're past it.
And it was a Jacksonville Jaguars decision.
So
They
everybody but the Jags.
Everybody but the Jaguars, yes.
Well, yeah, you can't blame them.
I mean, I get it, but still funny.
Yeah.
Money's
Comedy is
money at that point.
Let's get to Monday Night Raw. Congratulations to Bronson Reed. He is going to be a father after first of the year, so we're excited for him. Also found out this past week, Dakota Kai with an update. She may be out until after first of the year, so we may not see her in action till the Rumble at this point.
What happened to it? With Dakota.
Oh, Alex, I usually defer to you on injuries. I'm sorry. Don wants to know what happened to Dakota, what the injury Dakota Kai's got.
Okay, I froze up on my end. I have no idea what just happened.
Don was not sure why Dakota Kai was injured. No,
if I remember correctly, it was a pretty bad knee injury, but I'm going to take a look.
Correct. You never froze up on our end, so
yeah, but in that same scope.
No, fully.
If I remember, it was ACL, like full blown, where you have to work on everything. Torn ACL. But she did it in May, and usually we're looking at a 1-year recovery for any kind of physical activity to a 100% level, and even beyond 1 year, wrestlers tend to get back a little bit quicker based on certain short burst motions that they just avoid in matches because they can plan in that scope. But for her, it was a pretty bad ACL tear.
So we may not see her till the Rumble, at least in the ring. I mean, she's been making appearances on TV and stuff like that. Also, I don't know if you saw what happened at the live event yesterday, Alex.
I have not seen this.
We had a return to the ring at a house show.
Oh, wait. Was it a very tall individual?
No, it was a Rebel Heart.
Oh. No,
Johnny Gargano did return to the ring and talked about needing more members of his family again. So we might have the thing Alex has predicted in a DIY reunion, which I
can't take credit for a prediction because that's not been a isolated incident. It's not going out on a limb. There's a lot of people that have said for that, but I have been asking for it.
But what do I always say to you in that category? If you're the one who said it to me first, you get the credit.
Yeah.
Because
we'll put it this way. Ciampa has been putting in far more legwork than anybody else on this one.
Okay. Let's see here. And maybe I'm clairvoyant. You don't know, but the hunkameter is no more. As Gunther has now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. I was just 3 weeks early.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. And by all, apparently when they got backstage after that match, it was a standing ovation. People in the back. An amazing match to watch. Again, but for guys like Alex and myself who dig a little bit deeper than the average bear, we saw this with Ilya Dragunov. Walter doing a match with a much smaller opponent and making it look like $1 million is what he does. Not to take away from Chad Gable, because Chad Gable is an amazing athlete who I feel could be one of the most underrated. He just keeps getting stuck in bad gimmicks, Shorty G. But I thoroughly enjoyed that match.
He is the leader in the clubhouse with the company right now for me as the Adam Cole special. If the dude was 6 feet tall, he'd already be a world champion. Now, the real thing I took away from that, outside of it just being a great match, I am not a big fan of pandering to people's families often. But I want to know if that little girl knew anything about the match going in, or if that was legit emotion because either she's the greatest actress of her age ever, or she is heartbroken and I feel terrible.
And it went viral. I will tell you that. Let's see here.
I think honestly that was legit because I don't think she put.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that was legit.
I'll say this though, that Gable's had his ups and downs with the company over the years, but he's still been in there, kind of like Baron Corbin in a way. I look at it, but you gotta look at it now. This bit with the shush and all that, it's kind of working. The crowd gets into him. The crowd likes him.
It's been working for a year.
Yeah.
But
So
it's getting face heat, not heel heat.
Yeah. But people kind of they like, he can turn him into heel and they'll do the shush and people still be out there doing it. So, hey, you take what you can get while you get it, and yeah, I wish he could be higher and all that stuff, but
Other notes from Raw. I want you to get out your old SAT formats. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Sami Zayn is to the bloodline now as JD McDonough is to Judgment Day.
Yeah, that's basically what we've been doing, the copy paste. We've been doing the copy paste on Judgment Day. We're now at the tag belts. The only thing we haven't done is have the men's world championship because Rhea is Roman.
Oh, I also at Payback, that homage got completely past me.
I still think with Judgment Day,
the China one.
Yes. Go ahead, Donner.
With Judgment Day, do you think they should pull a twist that nobody see coming and have him cash it in on Roman and beat Roman? Because everybody thinks it's going to be on Seth or whatever.
I actually think. Oh,
Alex,
go ahead.
Don, just so that you're aware, Alex is having some delay issues.
Yeah.
It's not like he's trying to interrupt you.
Yeah.
He's not hearing you until after I.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand.
I've said for a while now that should be the case. And then it turns into, well, I did what you couldn't do to Finn Balor. I don't know that he cashes that in anytime soon. I just don't. I like the new briefcase. I think it's kind of cool doing something different. The only other person to do it was the previously mentioned Damian Sandow. But who else changed the briefcase?
Everybody before that. Your first briefcase was Edge doing his personal one. Punk had his own briefcase. Sandow had the leather briefcase. That was the one that was unique about that. Mr. Anderson had the double K logo as Kennedy. There was a few others. But literally everybody had their own personal case for a very long time. And then the company stopped doing it because they realized if they made it look the same, they could sell them.
See, I've always just seen them as just slapping a sticker on the case versus
an entirely replacement.
The first one, Edge.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Edge, he won the first one,
right,
and then he stole the other one from Kennedy, but it was just a black briefcase the whole time. There was, then he did that second where he added the rated R.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. To me, it was just them slapping a sticker on it versus this particular Damian Sandow, where it's a completely different case.
But the Brock Lesnar
this isn't a completely different case. This is a sticker in purple.
Right, but it's a completely different look.
Yeah. I hate the Brock Lesnar though. The boombox one, that was just
I like that one. The Brock party was fun.
Also, I want to say the following to Miz TV. I appreciate the attempt. I really, really do. It just went a little bit longer than it should have.
You know what? The fact that they followed the entrance as if he was there was great. Then it was too far.
Yeah. That I thought was the fact that they did the whole camera pan. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here.
The chase and the slide.
The only thing that would have made it better is if the camera guy started talking like Cena did. That would be the only thing.
Or they just fed the audio in of how you doing, Stu, and then they just go with it.
Announcement from the NWA: Velvet Sky no longer with the promotion. Given what happened last night, I am very what I don't know what happened, but given what last night was, I'm very intrigued by this. Because last night was the taping of Impact 1000.
Oh, okay.
So, and that'll air this Thursday. Also, their next pay-per-view for NWA will be the night after Here Come the Mummies in Dallas, October 28th in Alex's favorite city of Cleveland. Well, it's called Samhain, Samhain. Very, very Billy Corgan. It is actually the original Gaelic festival that blended with All Saints Day and All Souls Day to become Halloween. That's where the name comes from. But you look at the logo, it's very Billy Corgan. I'm sorry, William Patrick Corgan.
Do you have the logo available?
I can get it for you. I have that ability. Probably things I should have thought of before starting the show. So let me do this. Open image in new tab because Google Chrome will let me do that. Almost there. Stay on target. Almost there. That's what we're looking at, gentlemen.
Oh, wow.
Samain.
Yeah. It's actually pronounced Samhain. I actually had to look it up because I'm like, I know I'm going to screw that up, but don't look this up. But that's what you're looking at. And this center school kind of looks like Macklin a little bit.
Oh, that's 100% EC3.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
yeah, I guess you're right.
I can see the EC3.
Yeah, it's a good call. Because he is your current champion.
Well, he is the champion, so
yeah. Forcing Tyrus into.
We're definitely having delays.
All right, NXT. I only have one note. Do we
watch it?
Do we need Becky Tiffany?
Yeah, because here's the problem. Tiffany has been terrible outside of moments, but she's doing character work that is working to an extent. Now, this is more of the
Tiffany's promos are getting better. I can say that.
But this is going to be her, can you cut it at a main roster level? And if you can't have a good match with Becky, you can't have a good match in the women's division.
But here's my question. She can't win this clean, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is going to be a situation where somebody, whoever is going to be the Zoe Stark replacement, gets involved, and then that's going to gravitate to Raw.
Okay. Or is it somebody that ends up siding with Tiffany and that's her sidekick?
Also a possibility. We know that the old school booking would say that there is going to be a third party so that Becky still looks strong, but that we don't get that result.
I'm going to call. I'm calling the shot now.
Go for it.
Because she also returned to the ring at an NXT show last night. You know how Tiffany's the prissy princess girl,
the Barbie. That's what they're really leaning into.
Who was just in a beauty pageant very recently. Ariana Grace.
I did not realize she was in a beauty pageant. My brain started going to Bianca and Jordan Grace, who were in the bodybuilding competition.
She was in a Miss Canada, I believe, recently.
Okay. No, that's a good pull.
I'm calling my shot.
That's a great shot. I can't top it. Don, can you?
No.
AEW Dynamite. So we found out why there was a pivot for All In. Why AR Fox got turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he never quite communicated properly that he does not travel outside of the country. So that is why he was kicked out of Mogul Embassy. And all I'm saying is I think he's going to be jobbing for a while.
Yeah, he is on the punishment list, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
He's about to be job squad.
Let's pause for a moment of station identification as we go live to Don, because Don was there at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium of 80,000 people in change, who at some point we will neither confirm nor deny that he believed we sent a drone over there. But Don, what do you talk about AEW All In? You and Faith had a chance to be there. You extended your vacation just to go, got your flights delayed and everything else. Tell us about All In.
So not to bury the lead on this or anything, I always say the best match I ever saw live or whatever was WrestleMania 25 in Houston with the HBK Taker.
That was the first one, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that match, All In was probably one of the best wrestling events I've been to in my entire life, and I've been to 4 WrestleManias. First off, I do not regret. I'm glad that we did change the tickets and got it done, and we stayed longer and took more vacation days because it was an incredible, incredible experience. Wembley seats about 90,000 for soccer. So there's about 90,000 seats in that arena. There's that talk. Was there 81,000 people? Do I believe that? Yes. In the very top ends of the corner, there was where it was sporadic. It wasn't filled up, but that's on the top tier. The bottom 2 tiers were basically looked full all the way through.
Now, Don, let me ask you this, because when Alex and I were watching this, one of the things we noticed in the long shots was there was a lot of open area on the field level where there weren't seats.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can speak to on that, or was that just what it was?
That's just what it was, because I didn't think they want to put another 10 rows behind there because you can't see nothing, because I've been on that back in the back end. Right. And that's why when the people were talking with, we're at the best spot here, guys, because we're about this far off the thing. And so we had the perfect view where we stood up, we saw the ring, and nobody, so my biggest gripe, though, was that the entrance thing, they did not have an elevated ramp that they go down a ramp. It was level. So the only people who could see something when they came out or whatever were the people close to the ramp. Unless you were way up high or something like that. That's my biggest gripe, is that the entrance ramp was not raised and they walked down, because it was a straight level with the ground. So it's kind of hard to see, like when Jericho was singing and stuff like that. So you take out the missed seats. They did block off 2 sections for the camera in the entrance area, but the floor, I could see where 81,000 was filled by fans. I could see that.
I think Alex has a question.
Yeah, go for
it. I wanted to, before we got too far away from the entrance you were talking about. Now, if they had gone with a full, let's call it a Mania entrance, okay, like the full ramp the whole way down, cutting off seats, do you think that it was more of a consideration for a broadcast? Because what you may not have been able to see or experience in the stadium was one of the coolest entrances I have ever seen for a wrestling show, but it was definitely for the broadcast audience.
I could
now, the other part I wanted to say is, do you think it was more focused on the broadcast, or do you think they wanted to make sure that every seat had a view and nothing was obstructed by ramp, or they didn't get limited on sales because of filling it?
I think we had there were those poles on each 4 quarters of the ring. Mm-hmm. So the view of the fans, I think it didn't bother us most of the time, but you're saying, did they have it lower for the view of the fans? No, I don't think on that aspect at all. No. The seats, they could have made it bigger, send it up, but where they had the broadside camera where they cut off one section, they set up a lot of seats. They could have put people around more seats than they filled it, so they had more blocked off than I think they could have, or I think they could have had more seats in that lower area there. So that was my biggest gripe. The crowd, incredible. It was it reminded me of the whole show of the 5-10 years ago, the Monday night after Raw, after WrestleMania.
Back when it was still a thing?
Yeah, it was. And some of the chants they started going. I mean, and sometimes they were funny. Sometimes they were low. And sometimes I'm like, what the heck? It's like, I just sold my car to Dr. Britt Baker. It's like, what was the point of that? But, they had some insult ones like, Wheeler's got a gun. So I mean, that's the English crowd. Yeah. But the crowd made the show great. When Jericho came out and did the singing, you had 80,000 people screaming there. One thing I noticed, which with Wembley, is that there were like 10 stations around in the outside back areas where they had water filling stations. You bring your bottle, it says, come fill your water. I mean, you would not see that in a arena in America, which is kind of weird.
Actually, a number of arenas are required to have that now, but it is a recent change.
Yeah.
They just make it hard to find.
Yeah. And the thing is that people were surprised that you can actually take beer out there, unlike the soccer games. During the soccer games, you can't take beer into the stands. You can take water, but not beer. The crowd really made the show great. I think the thing that surprised me about the crowd was when Saraya came out with "We Will," with the Queen song. It didn't really get a big pop till she won the big title. When she did that, the crowd was really into it. But Ospreay, that was, I think the crowd really got into that match. Yeah.
Wait till Wrestle Dream, baby.
Yeah, I'll say this though. There are some hotels. Wembley's kind of small. The thing is the stadium's huge. There's a small little area built for the stadium, but not much. And so is there a hotel? Yes, there is. This is one thing I really want to bring in, which kind of really, really surprised me. We got there about 2 hours prior to the opening, 2.5 hours, and the place was starting to fill up already. And they have a great rail system. And there is a rail stop in Wembley, but it's a small rail stop, not like a big one you get downtown with multi lines going through. It's where 2 lines come through. It's a small stop because usually there's not a lot of people getting on and off there. But as you saw the one picture I put on Facebook of that big walkway with all the people in there, that was coming from the rail stop to the stadium. And that's probably a good quarter and a half mile walk, but it was rail after rail, people getting off, people coming in. Most of the people took the rail, which is fine. You didn't want to drive up there. Now, the issue that got me was we looked into it and we said in the MJF match, this is about to end. Let's get out of here. We could see what's going to happen on the end, and we're glad we did, because when we started getting out of the stadium, we started going down, and we're walking back towards to the rail station. There was 3 separate stations where there were cops with a sign that said, stop, go. And what they'd have to do is when you have 80,000 people coming out and probably 60 of them took the rail, they have where everybody stop. You're not going to get on. When the next place behind us opens up, we'll let some people through. It's like it's limiting the people that could get to the rail station. And the thing that got me, we got on a rail that says coming in 2 minutes when we got up there. The next one wasn't coming for another 14 minutes, and it was a small train. It wasn't a big liner train. So maybe for soccer matches, they may have a few extra trains ready to go because they know the soccer game is going to end. But for this, they did not do it. And so we knew if we got out there late, that line to get on that rail, we would be there for probably 2-3 hours trying to just get onto one of the rails because it was a very, very small station. It's great that they have one. It was great that people came in, but when they're leaving, don't wait.
All right. So would you say overall a good experience, Don?
Yeah, it's one of the best pro wrestling events I've ever been to in my entire life. The card was good. It wasn't the best match I've ever seen, no. But that crowd, and you see some of the video that I put out there, that crowd was incredible. And that made the experience great. It was a good card. It wasn't the best card, but am I glad that we did it? Yes, because my wife is going, Kenny Omega, and she's singing, and she loves the Jericho song. She's singing Judas, but the whole crowd was there. The people around there were great. I think one of the funnest parts is when at the beginning, when Tony Schiavone's out there, I don't know if they showed this on the show, is before the 5 o'clock kickoff, is Tony Schiavone's out there, and then Jeff Jarrett comes out there with Sanjay and Lethal and all them. Did you guys see that footage of that?
That was part of the kickoff.
Okay, so yeah. And then when he's in, Jeff Jarrett's going, and all the American wrestling and all that, and I'm standing up going, yep. Yeah, everybody else is
not helping foreign relations.
But most of the people rather said, yeah, this guy came from there. And And one thing I'll say for the other show is, but we were by the merchandise stand and they did film me. AEW did film me when they found out I flew through 4,000 miles to be there.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, the merchandising stands, there were lines the whole time. It wasn't just one. When we got off the train, there was the first one, which I showed you the pictures of. There was another one. Then as you got up closer to the stadium, they had even bigger ones and stuff like that. So they had a few ones inside the stadium. Once the show started, though, they shut the outside ones down till the end of the show. They had some on the inside with, kind of limited, not like there was one or two with huge amounts of stuff. The one I sent you pictures of was like a normal one. So, But another thing I did, so the merchandise stand was going the whole time, but they had a few stands, but just that crowd, and it's just like, oh, it's gonna be there next year. Should I do this every year, hun?
Well, we'll find out.
I think that seeing how the crowd was and how a show of AEW could get 80,000 people in there, I think it's going to really open that thing to London, getting like WrestleMania and stuff like that. But glad I did it. Well worth it. Something I'll never forget.
And from a stateside standpoint, Bleacher Report, fix it.
What do you mean? Fix it.
So Alex was very gracious because Alex had the event at his home. And I joined him there because I was at church that morning. And so he was gracious enough to hold off watching some of it. So we were a little bit on delay by the time we got to his house. By the time we were probably 5 minutes down by the time the main event happened. When it hit top of the hour and we were still about 5-10 minutes behind, the feed cut off and we had to watch the end of it 3 hours later.
Oh, no.
So what makes it even funnier was to give you an idea of our epic failure on timing. End of the main event. Adam Cole says 5 more minutes. MJF says no. Feed cuts.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, no.
The exact moment he finished saying no with the feed cut.
Shout out to Chris Statlander for her outfit at All Out that was recognized by Ben Stiller.
Ridiculously good looking.
Yes, very, very funny. I will say there's a thing called cheap heat. And there was also a thing called full on telegraphing something that's about to come.
Yeah.
And Don, your boy, was guilty of it this week.
What's that?
When he served up the ice cream truck concept to Samoa Joe. He put that on a platter. I was like, but I will say this. I'd forgotten about the whole Joe shoving MJF into a wall thing, and I like that was a callback. And I don't know, Don, if you will get this reference. I know Alex will. I really wanted Joe to go full M. Bison during that promo.
Yes.
For you, MJF, the day Samoa Joe shoved you into a wall was a day that will change your life forever. To Samoa Joe, it was Thursday.
Let me ask you, what was the ice cream truck thing? Or is that
the ice cream truck is a vehicle in Twisted Metal, and he is in
okay.
Series.
No, hold on. It's more specific. Samoa Joe, as Joe Shinoa, plays Sweet Tooth, the murder clown from Twisted Metal. What Sweet Tooth was known for was having flaming hair, being insane, gigantic, and driving an ice cream truck from hell. Yeah. And the ice cream truck exists in the Twisted Metal show. Yeah. I have binged the whole thing. Joe's physical work, even though he was not delivering the lines that you hear, was amazing.
Will Arnett is the voice.
Okay.
But they show the best part in a preview.
I will be binging it soon. Right now I'm binging Strange New Worlds. Victory Road was a thing on Friday night.
Anything big?
Jordan Grace got the win. She's now 1-4 against Deonna Purrazzo.
But any big? Let me ask you, what happened on the Dreamer match? Did you find out on that?
Dreamer won with the help of Heath.
Okay.
And his wife and kids were ringside.
Okay.
But there was a couple of announcements they did announce during that show. Mike Tenay and Don West will go into their Hall of Fame together at Bound for Glory,
Excellent.
which I thought was a great moment. And I did look up one spoiler for this week's Impact that has something to do with that. So I will say, if you don't want to hear spoilers, mute your screen for about 20 seconds in 3, 2, 1. The other person that they are going to announce for their Hall of Fame will be one Tracy Brooks, which I am fully on board with.
All fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, but I don't want to go any further spoilerific, but
Fair
it's my own cynicism.
And I only have one note from Impact. During the contract signing, Alicia Edwards signs the contract, and Santino just looks at it and goes, "That's your signature? Okay. I thought you were kind of a doctor or something," and just gives it to Trinity. Ring of Honor.
That was funny. I enjoyed that.
But
That's why it's
how does the company not see the fact that he still has that comedic timing and goes, you know what? We need some fun on our shows. Put him and R-Truth together when he comes back. That way Santino can do the legwork for R-Truth.
Ring of Honor was an hour 44 of nothing this week.
That's not surprising at this point. We have everything feeding towards Grand Slam being the ROH show.
Is that got back onto any network that's syndicated?
Still on Honor Club, Don, and I'm still paying for it.
No
real notes from Rampage. Speaking on SmackDown, congratulations to LA Knight. Oh, you put Rampage back up, Alex.
Well, you were quick.
Okay. So now we're on to SmackDown. LA Knight has signed a 5-year deal. Very
deservedly
exciting.
so.
I agree. And my only note from SmackDown. Go ahead.
No, my note on that one was how LA Knight has truly made it in front of the camera and in the back. There's a thing that happens with performers of their ilk. And if you want to think about it, I want you to go back to Stone Cold when that first started being a thing, and they realized, because he always came out in a vest. He had the DTA vest, the other various vests, but when it hit a certain level, it was whatever the new shirt was is what you're wearing to the ring. And this week, LA Knight crossed to that threshold, wasn't wearing the vest, he was wearing the new shirt. And I said, watch, this is going to be a thing, because it happens with everybody. The Rock had his flashy shirts, then suddenly it was either no shirt or whatever the new t-shirt was. Cena having the new shirt everywhere. This is the threshold you look for in this company.
The only note I have for SmackDown is I cannot hate on the name A-Town Down Under. I can't hate on that.
The only part of it I hate is that I didn't think of it first.
Now, let me, with LA Knight putting a 5-year deal in, one, it shows that the company likes him. He is getting on. Mm-hmm. He's getting popular. It is working. Do you think you have him beat Roman if they don't go as the next challenger for Roman?
That's 2 to 3 years down the road minimum.
I don't think Roman. By the time he wins, I don't think he's the one beating Roman.
You don't see him winning the Rumble and then beating Roman at Mania or Survivor Series?
I could see him winning the Rumble, but I also agree with Alex that by the time he gets to that point, Roman won't have the belt.
Okay.
Because
I don't know.
I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm here for it. I would love to see it happen, but that's got to be long-term booking for him.
The only thing...
Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry. That's the delay.
The only thing that makes this better is, and I think that our path for Roman is going to be Cody too. That's literally what it is to me. What I think winds up happening is there is something that gets the world heavyweight title on somebody else. Maybe it winds up in a scramble, pandering for Rob, and somehow the Miz finishes with the belt. And then LA Knight has the briefcase for next year and comes down and just ruins the Miz's next reign.
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's long-term story booking, but
I want to see the man win. Don't get me wrong, but I also understand how the company works.
Mhm.
There was talk about him,
And we also know that he doesn't need a prop. He's already interesting without it. He's in Jake the Snake category. Sorry, Don. What?
Yeah, no, God, it's a delay. Give me up for it. The rumor was that he may have had that kind of attitude in the back, kind of thing. Do you think that's changed? Do you think after having to do the Maximil models, that maybe it put a new outlook on him as a worker and everything, and maybe that's why he's getting a push in the build?
I have not heard any heat with him backstage at all.
Okay.
I think that's false news. I think that's the level of pandering that Ringside News does, where they just try to make stuff up and throw it out there. I think what he has been lauded by certain individuals as being willing to work with, it's why the Miz wanted to work with him. That he's the one that called for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did see an interesting headline today where Maxine Dupree, speaking of things tangentially there, she was in an interview and she actually credited Liv Morgan as the person that really helped her get things moving backstage. So, AEW Collision, just a couple of notes. Jade Cargill returned. So there's that.
Wild. Yeah.
And did you guys watch the main event on this show last night?
Yeah.
Not the main event, the other side of it. Roddy and Darby.
What about the match? It was a long match.
I was thoroughly impressed with Roddy with the choke slam of Darby Allin on the top turnbuckle. That was insanity. It's a great spot.
But it's really interesting to see that because part of what had it was I was taking Sean back because she was saying that she wants more wrestling programming to watch, and I about fell over. So I introduced her to the wrestlers. Sorry?
I just that was not something I was expecting. That is new information.
Yeah. So I introduced her to the wrestlers that we mentioned earlier from Vice. That first episode is your introduction to Darby Allin. It is your introduction to Austin Theory. It is your introduction to AR Fox. And within that program, Ethan Page actually hits that very chokeslam, more of a ego's edge onto the turnbuckle the way Roddy did it. So Darby doesn't care about his body.
So do you think with Cargill, I think Wrestle Dreams October 1st, the next pay-per-view, I think correct. She gets the rematch for that title. Do you think she takes it back, or does somehow Statler still kind of keep it? And
I don't think that match happens at Wrestle Dream.
You don't think so?
I think you wait till Full Gear, because Wrestle Dream's going to be another one of those open door type pay-per-views. I'm sorry, Forbidden Door. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Because you've already announced Bryan Danielson and Sabre. So, I'm bummed I'm not going to get to see that live. So you're going to have to tell me how that all goes.
You add Will Ospreay to that and make it a triple threat? Oh my God.
No. Give Will Ospreay his own shine elsewhere. The reason that you do Danielson and Sabre alone, Don, how familiar are you with the PWI awards each year?
No.
Okay. So before he was with the company, Bryan Danielson won the Best Technical Wrestler Award every year for so long that they just changed the name of it to the Bryan Danielson Award.
Okay.
And since he retired, it's been Zack Sabre Jr. every year, just about. Okay. So now you have the two best technical wrestlers, arguably, of the modern era, and then some. But Ospreay is, and with all due respect to Sabre and Danielson, you know how much I love them. Ospreay is on a different level right now. He is a main event talent the moment he walks through any set of doors. You need to give Ospreay a shine against, I'm just trying to think, maybe Claudio. Go full European with an ROH title match.
But he's going to be on Impact again in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because he had part of his contract is he can work where he wants when he wants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a New Japan guy. He just happens to do stuff for AEW.
Okay.
Speaking of Japan, the last headline I had this week for MLW, October 14th at the 2300 Arena in Philly, is there a Slaughterhouse event, and Minoru Suzuki will make his first MLW appearance at that particular event.
Have you seen who he will likely be facing?
I have not seen that, no.
So you have the Murder Grandpa against Jacob Fatu.
That's a whole lot of bleeding going on.
That's a whole lot of striking and pain.
Yes. Anything else before we wrap this up and take the break, gentlemen?
I think we got everything.
Just real fast again, we went back earlier. All In was incredible. It was glad I did it. So glad I did it. The Fantastic Faith Ford had fun. I just cannot say about how loud the crowd got into it when Samoa Joe came out for that first match. It was screaming loud. They kept it going the entire show. I think England's going to be the new thing of getting big shows like Mania and stuff out there. And I can see why Tony Khan is saying, you know what, I'm probably going to do this every year because how big of a hit it was and how great the crowd was. So incredible experience. Sorry for the time off, but, you know, Fantastic Faith Ford's 50th birthday. It was well worth it. And that's it.
All right. Make sure you follow us on all your social medias. We're so happy that you're with us. Everything is the Cheap Popcast. You might notice that there's a TikTok out there right now. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we have it. You can follow me on all your social medias as well. Everything is Yes, That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com and search for The Cheap Popcast. You'll see that logo and a lot of different shirts with a lot of different color combinations. If you happen to be an artist or have suggestions, you can always reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
And the URL to get those awesome shirts that even make me look good is ProWrestlingTees.com/The-Cheap-Podcast. And on Twitter, I'm Eddie Voodoo. you.
Charlotte Parker is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. You can also send me an email if you want questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I'm Rob@thecheappopcast.com. Our normal show every Sunday night is at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, your one-stop shop for all things pro wrestling. We will be off next week. If you want to know why, tune in tonight to the Clubhouse Podcast because we have a major announcement coming up on the next show. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. This has been the Cheap Popcast. Good night, everybody.